Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show, QPR 2, Leeds United 2. This is the instant match reaction live across YouTube and X. I'm Stephen Brown and joining me as ever is Jason Booker. Apologies if it's a little bit laggy. I've got a bit of a slow internet at the moment, so I'm not sure what's going on, but hopefully it will catch up in time. If you're watching along, please do get your comments in. What did you think of that one today, Leeds fans? Is that point gained, 2 points dropped? What did we think? Nonto coming on at half-time. Lots of talking points from today's game. But, of course, it's another point on the table. Jason, I mean, dramatic game, really. You know, you're expecting, is it going to be kind of a calm, straightforward lunchtime kind of match, but never is involving Leeds. But a hard-fought point in the end. Battled back really well, did the boys today. Your general kind of feelings at the end of the game, is it 2 points dropped, or are you happy with the point?
Well, I think we both said, didn't we, that in the review midweek that we wouldn't be too upset with the point. We both said we certainly wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being that we'd leave Loftus Road with a point, regardless of their run.
We've seen it. We'd lost the last 3 or 4 times we were there.
Yeah, we haven't won since 2017. It's been a bit of a bogey ground, London. I mean, I don't buy into any of all that. You know, I don't. But, I see it very much a case of it's just another game. But you know, they got the moment that they needed, and then that kind of gave them something to build on. I think over the 90 minutes, I think they were terrible. If I'm honest, I thought they were really,
really just a set of lumps out there.
Yeah, they were really poor.
Like
It's up there with the worst dropped points of the season, with probably the whole 3-1. But it depends on the perspective of the game, because we were 3-1 up in that game. To drop points in that game is a bit different dropping points today, given the fact that we were 2-0 down. That happens in football sometimes. I thought that we started the game really well. I thought the way that we kind of went about it was decent early on, but then you saw some of the problems that you then get with starting Rothwell in the midfield over Gruev. The defensive solidity that he would have given us just wasn't there. When they came forward, I mean, bear in mind they needed 2 chances. They had two shots on goal basically and scored both. So I think in the grand scheme of things, I think that this will be seen as a point gained. I think it's a point that the team this time last season would not have taken, being 2-0 down in that game. They would not have taken that point. And I think it says everything about this side. I'm not like, I see it just game at a time at the moment. And, you know, we were very kind of, and Farkas said this, we were confident in saying that if we won all of his home games, everything away from home is a bit of a bonus. Between now and the end of the season, we'll probably do enough to go up if we win just the home games alone. And this is just another point notched on the board. It keeps us 5 points in front of Burnley with them to play, which I get they might win today, but it's still a 5-point gap with a game to play. Sheffield United play Sheffield Wednesday tomorrow. I don't think it's a bad point overall. Now, there's stuff to break down within the game. And, you know, we definitely could have won this game today. We 100% could have won this game today. Brendan makes a big mistake. It's so frustrating because he's probably the only attacking midfielder in the league that is actually in that position to intercept the ball. He does a great job for the team in getting back and occupying that space. Makes a great interception, but then God knows what he's thinking of laying that ball into that area like that. It's a massive, massive mistake. I didn't think he had a bad first half, by the way, apart from that moment. And I know he gets hooked at half time. Now, people are going to be saying, oh, the solution is on to at the 10. It's a game state. You're 2-1 down. You know, you're chasing the game in a completely different manner. I think Nonto did good in moments, but I think there'll be plenty of areas in which he would not be able to fill the void of Brendan over a 90-minute game week in, week out. But I think that's a different conversation. So yeah, I think, mate, to answer your question very long-windedly, I think it's a pretty decent point on the face of it, especially being 2-0 down.
Yeah, I kind of want to preface everything that we talk about, because obviously there's a lot to break down in the game. There's performances I'm going to be critical of, but it's in the context that I'm happy with the point, by the way. Delighted with the point, because I think horrible place to go. They're horrible. I mean, they're absolutely horrible. It was entertaining just watching their keeper just like punt balls out of touch. Their centre backs, like their technical level was so low. Yeah, it was just physical. They were just physical lumps barging into players, and they get 2 unbelievable breaks. I mean, the first is, it drives me nuts. So I just want to say, any criticism I'm leveling today, it's with the preface that I overall think this is a really good point for Leeds. And like you say, said midweek we'd be happy with that. I am, especially being 2-0 down. And I think any kind of arguments against this team about not having the fight, not having the stomach, I think that disproves it. I think that's a hard result to dig out today. That's
not a result of a team of bottlers, mate.
No,
it's not. Like that shows everything about the
not.
mentality of this team. You know, regardless of whether you should be beating a QPR or not, to find yourself 2-0 down at Loftus Road and come back to draw the game and deserve to win it. I don't think we weren't smart enough with a couple of the moments that we had after we'd equalised. That is the only thing that I would say. We should have created some more clear-cut chances. We were rushing the moments, but we still dominated the game. You know, and again, it just shows how much we miss Ampadu in that back line. You know, and I know we're going to get onto some performances. There were some really hard performances to watch back there today, in the defensive side of the game. And I think, you know, when, especially away from home, as much as people want to clamber for it, and after a good performance against Millwall, Joe Rothwell can't play in that role because he has to do too much defending. He's too big of a space for Tanaka to cover on his own, and Pascal can't defend well enough to deal with the pressure that comes down that side, especially given the fact that Junior is usually scampering off somewhere else in the pitch. So, yeah, I know we'll get into it and break it down, but I agree with you. I agree with you completely.
Yeah. So let's deal with what I think will be the main headline from today, and I think it's Brendan Aronson hooked at halftime and Nonto coming on, and I think this will set a fever amongst the social media element of Leeds United. Everybody is now going to be clamouring for Nonto. I'll let you know kind of where I stand on it. I've really enjoyed what Brendan's offered the team this year. I think his defensive work is outstanding, and I think he has contributed in an attacking sense. I agree with you. Actually, I thought today it was fine. The mistake that I can't tell you how angry and annoyed I was by that mistake, because they have not had a sniff.
Yeah,
and I just don't know what the thought process is. I'm just watching it, and honestly, I just couldn't believe that he did that. He's dilly-dallying on the ball, and he's not looking, he's not aware, and he lays it perfectly. And it's a good strike, to be honest. When I've seen it on the replay, it's a good finish. It's not like he's set up for a tap-in from 6 yards out.
Yeah.
It really infuriated me. And I must think that Daniel Farke was frustrated. I mean, why does Daniel Farke sub him at half-time? Unless, I'm not saying he's just looking at that one mistake, but I mean, that has got to piss you off as a manager so much when your team is under no threat and he just hands it on a plate to the opposition. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. I was as annoyed by that as probably a Melier mistake this season. I'm just going to say it aggravated me and wound me up so much because they had nothing until then, absolutely nothing, and it puts us on the back foot.
The one thing I will say with it, and I'm playing a bit as a devil's advocate here, because at the end of the day, it's a massive, massive mistake. But we are not a team that looks to just shank the ball out of play or shank the ball for a clearance. Yeah. We look to hit teams on the transition when we're in them areas of the pitch. So what he tries to do is obviously lay it off to Bogle, who's then facing away from goal, who can then clear the ball more optimally than Brendan could have done. So I understand the reason of probably what he went through in the moment, but it's a complete massive balls up. Like, what I'm guessing I'm getting at is I can understand the reason that he's tried to find a player rather than just being shanking at a player, but he just makes the wrong call on this particular case. The pass wasn't there. Now, I think at the end of the day, like, these things happen in football. Like, you can't just, you can't drop Manor Solomon because he slipped against Burnley and Burnley scored, as an example. Like, these things happen. Yeah. These things happen all game, every game as well, by the way. Like, most of the time, they just don't result in a goal. That's why we've had this argument about Melier before, where when you make a mistake as a keeper, it usually ends up in a goal. Mistakes happen all over. Joe Rothwell made a pass about 20 yards outside of our box straight to their big lump of a striker. Like, that could have resulted in a goal, but you wouldn't have then been like, oh, drop him, rip him off the pitch. Like, so I definitely think there was something more tactical in what happened at halftime in this game, given the fact that we'd had the play in the way that we hadn't found the position in that area of the pitch enough. One thing that Nonto does do well that Brendan doesn't do as well is he does drop into them half spaces and link play up quite nicely. I don't think he's going to be able to consistently be a number 10 in this system because he just won't press enough. I'm telling you, I am absolutely convinced that if we go into the next game with Nonto as a 10, the amount of joy that the opponent will have in possession will be X 5 times on what it is currently. That's what you will miss. And it's a massive part of the way that we function as a system. So it's horses for courses. In that moment of the game, it made sense. I was fine with it. Totally understood the decision. Clearly, Farker saw something that he needed to change. And it worked because Nonto picked up an half space and he played a great pass into Dan James, which then squared the ball for the equaliser. So,
yeah,
it is what it is.
Where I stand with it, I thought Nonto was brilliant when he came on today. I thought Nonto is best for me, technically, and composure levels are miles ahead of Brendan. Miles ahead of Brendan. He was doing little drop-offs, little touches, keeping hold of the ball where it actually looks like he's got the ball under control. It's not kind of, all this kind of shit that Brendan does. It was like he's actually got the hold of the ball. And I thought he looked a couple level up from Aronson just in those specific parts of the game. And I thought it was actually, we talk about, people have criticised Farker. I thought it was a brilliant sub to make and, like you say, game state and everything. And it just added that level of composure and a superb ball down the line. Now, do I think he should start over Aronson in the next game? And I agree with you. I think what Brendan does in terms of that kind of defensive unit and that press, I think it's absolutely vital. But what I'm thinking is, do we now, can we all kind of go, we have a viable option there? It means that actually we can maybe trust someone else in that number 10 role, someone who's come on and actually had a positive impact there. I mean, that's a good thing, isn't it? I mean, isn't it a good, for me, the thing that I was really not getting worried about, but is the Jadon Anthony thing where you've got, good players on the bench who just don't seem to be playing any part. People talk about, the strength of Leeds' squad. Well, it's only a strong squad if everybody's contributing or if we're getting more from the bench and being able to bring more players in and see positive action. So I think it's a real positive thing that we've seen a player come in and do that today. Whether he should start or blah, 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 that's all horses for courses, like you say. And ultimately, Farker will decide that. But I'm just delighted that he was able to make a sub at halftime and it had a positive impact. And it's getting the use of someone who, for me, is technically brilliant, technically really good. His composure on the ball, calm. For too many games I've seen Nonto, like in the FA Cup where it's just not happened for him. He's not playing well. It's not happened. So I was really happy that we saw him come in and have an impact today. Now, I think this is a positive thing going forward now. I think this is a really good thing now that we've got someone who we can go, right, let's bring him into the number 10 as and when. That's a good thing. Rather than this, everything's set in stone and we can't break out of that. It's got to be that or nothing. I think it's brilliant. I think it's positive. I'm delighted he's played well and had an impact. And I think all this should be start. I mean, I know what it's going to be like on socials. Everyone will be clamouring for Nonto to start. I just think it's brilliant that we've got that option. It's good for Nonto and it's good for the last 8 games going forward. That's how I see it.
Listen, there's in no world can it be a bad thing if a Leeds United player comes off the bench and makes a difference. Like, I want every player. Like, I am not a Brendan Aronson fan. I'm a Leeds United fan. I don't care who gets the job done. I just see what I see with my eyes and I understand the game probably a little bit more than the casual fan, and I try and appreciate everything that's happening around it. Willie Nonto is technically far superior than Brendan Aronson in terms of what he can do with the football, but that doesn't make up the complete unit of what you need to be an effective number 10 and an effective number 10 in a Daniel Farker system. We would miss Brendan Aronson if he wasn't in there in comparison to Willie Nonto being in there every week. I promise you we would. Now, Nonto could potentially come in and offer something a little bit different, and I'm hoping that he's got more capabilities in that area than the pitch than maybe I and some Leeds fans think, because, I've always said Willie Nonto's not a 10. He's not a 10. Like, you can pretend like he can do a role there and a job there, and he could probably do it to a certain standard, but he's not a 10. So over a 90-minute game, it won't look like that. And over a consistent period of games, it won't look like that. It's a little bit different when you're coming on for 45 minutes to change a game where your team's losing. So, and I mean, Gavin's made a point in there about Brendan gets away with a lot, in my opinion, due to his busy style. That's fair. That he does get away with a lot because of his busy style. You're seeing the busy style as a negative. The busy style is a positive in this system. He has played a huge part in the reason that we are where we are. So it's reframing the understanding around what he's being asked to do in this system. Like, Gnonto had good moments. He did. He absolutely did. But QPR were also under a lot less pressure with him on the pitch when they had the ball than when Aronson would have been on the pitch. That's just a fact. It's not me making that up. It's a fact. You know, Pirro can't cover the ground in that way. The only player that can then do that is Dan James. Dan James will cover the ground in them areas. So I'm just saying it's not as black and white as Gnonto comes on and we equalise and Brendan Aronson were on the pitch and we were 2-1 down. It's just not. So, look, if the next game comes and Gnonto does well and he starts in the day, he won't, by the way. I don't think that will happen. But let's say he does. Great. Let's have it. Like, I'm all for it. I want to be proven wrong in that area of the pitch. But based on what we've seen outside of a 45-minute cameo, that's not the... And it's not on the player. It is on the players to prove that they deserve this time on the pitch. Gnonto's deserved that it's shown today that he deserves more time. And he will then earn more time. And he might even earn a start. Ramazani hasn't. And again, today, he hasn't. Like, he was poor, guys. He was. And that was the same bracket that Gnonto was in before today's performance. So, you know, it is on them to take an opportunity when it comes. It shouldn't be gifted to them.
No, exactly. Good stuff. You mentioned before about Rothwell. I actually thought Rothwell was pretty inconsistent, would be my word. I was frustrated with him several times. I thought a lot of his set pieces were shocking.
One good to them.
Gave the ball away loads of times, lost the ball. Did some Rothwell stuff, you know, nice touches round and driving forward with the ball. But, you know, I especially the second goal, I just don't think it happens if Gruev's there. He loves to cover them kind of spaces. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think it was probably, you know, he was brilliant against Millwall. You know, I mean, this is what you're going to get. I mean, he's a championship player for me, is Rothwell. I mean, I don't want us to sign him if we go up. I'll just lay my cards out. I was going to wait until our little post-season video for that, but I don't want Rothwell in this team in the Premier League. I don't. I think there's a reason why he gets shipped out to the Championship every year. Notwithstanding, I think he's been very, very good this season. Probably surprised a lot of people. But today, you could see why we'd been picking Gruev. You know, just for that extra security. And it'll be interesting to see what we do. You know, we've got a couple of other long trips away, you know, before the end of the season. It'll be interesting if Farke does revert back to Gruev going in there. What are your thoughts? I mean, you've touched on it already. I mean, Rothwell's general performance today, and kind of, you know, do you think Farke will kind of lean back towards maybe Gruev being in there kind of from now on?
I've got to say, I disagree with your point on Rothwell in that, like, and we don't disagree often, but I do disagree with you. I think he can be a squad player in the Premier League from what I've seen this season. I'm not saying that I want to see him start every week, and we would certainly need a statement signing in that area of the pitch to go alongside Tanaka and Padu as a 3 of some sort. So, but I think for the right price, if you're talking 4 or 5 million quid, I think he'd be a good option to have on the bench, start every now and again. I think he's capable enough to do that. You have to bear in mind that the progression that we need to take as a club and as a squad, and you can't just go out and get, you know, 5 25 million pound signings that are all going to be happy either sitting on the bench sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it takes up all sorts to make that squad up. So I do disagree with you on that point, but I hear what you're saying. I do think there is a reason that Bournemouth and Southampton have both shipped him out and, you know, not being interested in signing him in the Premier League in the case of Southampton, that is. And, you know, this has happened before as well. It was shipped out previously from Bournemouth in the Premier League as well. So, yeah, I get it. I can totally understand your point. He wasn't good today. And for me, I don't think he suits the way that we play away from home. I think you need Gruev in there. People don't want to wear it. It's not fancy. It's not flashy, but he does the job. He serves a purpose, and he allows Junior to properly get ahead of the player and get involved in the areas of the pitch where he's really good. Today, the ball turned over, and every time that ball came down our left, I was nervous. Pascal had a horror shock for me today. I thought it was horrendous. Everything that he got involved in was poor, apart from one block that he made with about 2 minutes to go. He made a good block. But everything else that he got involved in today was a shocker. And his distribution was awful. Honestly, awful performance. So, yeah, Gruev for me in there assures him up because I don't think he's great. He accounts for Firpo going wandering. And I think he's just neat and tidy. Whereas when we've got more possession and we are under less threat going the other way, Rothwell, we can get away with what happens the other way. So, yeah, look, Rothwell will always serve a purpose in this division. Home games, comfortable. Away, not so much for me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think actually that it's a really good point about what kind of fee would you be willing to pay for Rothwell? Because I think for a 4 or a 5, I would actually probably be tempted to say, because like you say, you can't go and spend, 25 million on 5 players.
You need some players that are going to be happy playing a bit part. You can't have, 18 players all wanting week in, week out a gameplay, because otherwise you've got a problem within the squad. And Joe Rothwell, I think, would be happy doing that in the Premier League, and it would serve a certain amount of quality while we finish in the bottom 5. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's the way we have to. That's the ballpark we're going to be in. So I think he'd be worth 4 or 5 million quid. Like so.
Absolutely. I do want to come on to Strike actually, because for me, this is one of the red flags of the team. But before we get to the Strike thing, I just want to get your take on the second goal, because I don't know about QPR's second goal, by the way, because, man, what happened there? It was a total breakdown. I was like yelling, somebody closing down for the crowd. He's got all the time in the world to pick out exactly who he wants. And then, he's completely unmarked in the area. I mean, it was just kind of your worst nightmare coming together, wasn't it?
I don't know whose fault it was. I don't know who was marking Steve Cook, but he's clearly, one of their biggest aerial threats. And why is there nobody on the post? There was nobody kind of marking that area of the 6-yard box. It was just really weird. It was just awful defending. The whole the play just seemed to freeze.
Weird.
Time just stopped, and Steve Cook just had the ability to peel off the defenders and just head completely free. It was shocking defending. I think the first was obviously a clear mistake. They happened. The second was just really abject, woeful defending. It was poor down the right hand side, down their right hand side. Nobody closed the throwing down, the cross down. So Solomon, Firpo, whoever else is going to be on that side of the pitch, all has to take some blame as well. Because I made this point about Brendan Aronson all the time. It's not always blocking the cross, which obviously is the desired effect. It's putting the ball distributor under pressure to then not be able to just pick a man out, which is what he had the time to do. So
that's what I was so annoyed about.
it was really, really poor, mate. Really poor.
Yeah. Well, let's deal with him, Pascal. Who to be fair to me and you, we've been saying it for games, weeks, months, whatever. I just don't think he's a good player. I don't think he's a good defender. I think mentally what he gives this team is very little. I think he adds to a feeling of being unnerved when things go against us. And I have no problem with Melier at all today, but I think it's kind of no coincidence that our biggest bomb scares are 2 players that were traumatized by the Premier League, got absolutely traumatized by the Premier League. People forget how bad Stroit was in the Premier League. And look, I think he gets away with it, like we said many times, because of the whole kind of image thing. He was there when Bielsa was there, and obviously he's marketed by the club. He's a good-looking fella, and he's heavily marketed by the club. And I think a lot of people fall for that. He's had some standout kind of moments as well. He takes penalties. He's scored last-minute winners, headers. Jason today, I thought he was absolutely woeful. I thought his distribution, panicky, those balls that he were playing back to Melier, where the high bouncing balls, to be fair to Melier, dealt with them really well, because Pascal was giving him absolute grenades in there. And I'm absolutely convinced. I'm convinced if we'd have had Ampadu for this run of games, we'd have 3, 4, 5 more points. I'm convinced by it. And I think there's an absolute reason why when Ampadu nailed down that position, when Stroik was out injured, Stroik couldn't get back even when he was fit. And he absolutely, if we get to the Premier League, cannot be anywhere near the starting 11. I do not want to see Pascal Strouk. If Pascal Strouk, I'll put it this way, I will say this now. If Pascal Strouk is one of our starting defenders, we will be relegated. 100%. I don't even care who the other 10 players are. If he's our central defender, we will be relegated. He was absolutely shocking, and he's a massive problem for us. It's Pascal Strouk, and it winds me up no end.
I definitely think you've got a point with that. Again, it depends on the way that we play. I mean, if we're going to be playing with bombing forward fullbacks, you need an assured centre-back alongside Junior Firpo as an example, because Firpo's not going to help you. But Pascal today was all over the place, mate. He was constantly under the ball. His distribution, I mean, it started after about 4 minutes. He put one out for a throw-in when he tried to pass it to Solomon, and he just put it was miles away from him. There were 2 back to Meslier in the second half, which were both bouncing, awful passes that he just put his keeper under immense pressure. I mean, this is your captain who's doing this to you. I thought he had an absolute stinker today. He got caught getting sucked in. The one moment where Dembele spun him about 10, 15.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you know when he pushes forward? Do you ever have any confidence he's going to win that ball? No. Every time I watch it, I'm like, no, he's going to get spun. Or
he's a bomb scare, mate. And I mean, as long as I've been a football fan, this has happened with, and I'm sure it happens in other clubs as well, where certain players just have this kind of insatiable reputation with the majority of the fan base. It's really, really odd how it happens, and Pascal Stroik's one of them. I don't know what it would take for Pascal to be seen as different. Like Liam Cooper's a great example of this. Liam Cooper always got stick, no matter how well he played. It followed him. It carried with him. Pascal Stroik's the complete opposite of that. Pascal Stroik has never, ever shown a performance as good as Liam Cooper's did in the Championship. Never. Not once. There's not been a thing. Pascal Stroik is more of a threat, more of a performer for Leeds United in the opposite box. When he's attacking, that's what he's actually good at. He's heading the ball in the back of the opponent's nets. He's probably our best at that. But defensively, he is so average, it's untrue. And every week I watch him, my kind of rating of him drops. Every week it drops a little bit more. Because I think I'm being harsh. At the beginning of the season, I was saying similar things, and I was thinking to myself, I'm seeing this wrong, like I've got an agenda or something. Every week he gets worse, in my opinion, and I'm trying. I try to like, it's not personal either. It's just the performance that happens.
Absolutely nothing, not personal at all.
Joe Rodon covers his ass constantly, mate. He covers him all the time, and the only time that Pascal can get away with it away from home is when Gruev's in front of him or Ampadu's in front of him. He cannot deal with it away from home. At home he can because we have a lot of the ball, but away from home he can't.
No, I wanted Pascal to be what a lot of Leeds fans thought he was. I would love to have this ball-playing guy who can launch the ball 30 yards to someone's feet, dynamic, dominating defender that I think some fans think is. I would love it if he was that. I would absolutely love it, but he's just not. And we've got so much evidence now where and how old is he? 25 or something now. He's not that 18-year-old or 20-year-old that came in. In the Bielsa team, he's older now. He's vice captain. I mean, I don't know what decisions are going on there. I think even Meslier were in the running for vice captain. I'm like scratching my head. Is it just longevity? You've been at the club that long, or what? I mean, even there were a bit today. I mean, I'd never get the impression he's leading the team or he's rallying the team or anything. A bit of this and that's about it.
On his passing specifically, this ball playing defender, it's a complete
awful today.
It doesn't exist, mate. I'm telling you, it doesn't. His passing statistics are made up with 5-yard passes to Joe Rodon or into the midfield. he'll hit one every now and again. I remember one earlier on in the season. He pinged it into somebody in the number 10 spot. They turned and we ended up scoring. It was a beautiful goal. But they are so few and far between. His distribution is so poor. But people want to pretend like he's this ball-playing defender. I know that and I'm changing tact a little bit here, but this has actually made me a little bit irritated. And I know you usually do this later, but I just want to read this out. So, Daniel Farker comment. This is Baron Cross reporting this on Twitter.
I think you might. I was just snipping up that exact one. I think I'm just going to be interested if it is that one. Yeah,
I'm going to drop it because I'm a bit irritated by it, but it just proves what we were saying 15 minutes ago has been correct. I'm angry with myself because until the early hours, I was thinking about bringing Gruev in, as in starting Gruev. Wanted to take momentum off of Wednesday, meaning that's why I went with Rothwell. Green light from medical on all players being ready. Ilya, as in Gruev, gives us defensive awareness, but I was too greedy and wanted to dominate the game. Daniel. That is, in my opinion, that's not just about Wednesday night. That's about you listening to other voices. And I'm talking about the fan base who know, F all with regards to how to set up a football team. They don't, including me. I am a novice in comparison to what you know, Daniel. So you should be sticking to your guns and doing what you know to be right, because I don't think that first half plays out the way that it does if Ilya Gruev's in there.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah,
irritated by that. I back Daniel Farker all year, but I'll call him out when he's wrong, and he has shown there that a little bit of weakness, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's had some interesting other comments as well. He's also said that I was convinced Willie would make this impact. If I had brought Ilya on, I would have opted for Willie from the start. But because I went with our two ballers in the pivot, we cannot afford to lose the run-in of Brendan at 10.
That's interesting. That's really, really interesting, because basically what he's saying there is he would have started Willie Nonto at 10 if Gruev had been playing. Which is really interesting. Really, really interesting. Fair enough. If Daniel Farker's making that decision and he's seeing enough from Willie in training that he can play in the 10, fine. But, he's kind of saying again what we were saying. You have to have the legs in that area of the pitch. Yeah. And without Brendan in there, we wouldn't have had today. I know he messes up from the first goal, but if Brendan hadn't have been there, there'd have been a layback to the edge of the box and potential goal anyway. Yeah. Gruev not being in there even more so makes that space a problem from a defensive point of view. So he's right on that point, but why on earth are you not starting the team that you want to start, Daniel? Come on.
We struggled away from home when it was Tanaka and Rothwell, didn't we? When Gruev and Ampadu were out.
Away from home.
We really struggle with it. It's added as well. Willie has not had too many chances at 10, but the feeling is he's learning how to create options in the centre, not with his pressing load, but decisive pass for the equaliser. Thank God he delivered. Fair enough. Manor Solomon, when he got subbed off, he basically did the walk. He was chuntering all the way around. Well, Farker's had comment on that as well. He said, Manor is always unhappy when he's not playing all 97 minutes, but he started all 3 games in 6 days. He's important for us, created a lot. Hoped for one lucky punch from Ramazani. Can produce magic. Little moment for my heart when he tried that late header. What do you make of kind of general when players have a little whinge when they go off? Is it not too big a deal, is it really?
No, I think as long as it's not insubordination and you're disrespectful of your manager when you get there or whatever, I would expect a player that's done what Manor Solomon's done in his career, played for the teams that he has, represented his nation, a winner with the mentality that he's got, to be upset when he comes off when the game's at 2-2 and he wants to find a way to help his team win. I fully would expect that kind of reaction. I think anybody that doesn't react almost negatively, I think you got a bit of a problem. I think if you just kind of walk happy, nice one at 2-2, I'm not, especially as an attacker. You want to be on the pitch, don't you? So, and as for Ramazani, Ramazani needs to deliver. He has been miles off it, mate, since the injury. Miles off it. He, for me, I don't know if it's attitude or it's just sharpness, getting into the game flow or what. but he's just not influencing the games in the way that he was before the injury. So you can't play him.
Yeah,
like, you can't, because there's people say, he needs to play his way into form. So what? We just give him 30 minutes where we could have his best player on the pitch. It just makes no sense. Like, if you're 3-0 up, fine, give him 30 minutes. But when he's not influencing the game in a game in which we need to win, he gets 5, he gets 10. You know what I mean? Like, and that's at best. I mean, I wouldn't have made that sub at that time, but I understand Daniel Farke's reasons. Like, we don't want him getting injured. I get it. But yeah, I think that's on Ramazani and Ramazani alone, mate. I really do.
Yeah, because I think, you can see a couple in the comments as well saying about Ramazani needs to start and all this kind of thing. But we're at a stage now, there's only 8 games left, and who are you going to look upon to deliver for you? You're going to, Solomon, it's another assist, I guess, today, technically,
another assist.
Just so creative. We die without that creation on the pitch. Yeah. What did you make of James? You might disagree with this. I thought he was busy and a lot of endeavour, but not much quality. I thought of James today. There were a couple of times where I thought he overplayed it. It's difficult when you're playing that kind of team, but yeah, I don't know. For me, not a great amount of final quality from Dan James, I thought today.
I wouldn't say I disagree with that. I think he huffed and he puffed. I still think he was one of our biggest threats. Him and Solomon looked like the ones to kind of crack the code in the second half. Just that last bit of quality. But there was something weird that came today in that we were delivering balls into dangerous areas, but there were nobody there. Like, there just didn't seem to be anybody in them areas of the pitch. Like, there were one cross, and I think it came from James. He put it right on penalty spot, and there was literally nobody there. I was like, what's going on? Like, where is the runners from midfield? Where's the third?
Where's Bogle there? It's like nobody's there. Like,
it shows you again that the goals coming from Firpo and Bogle, that in itself is not alarming, but it shows you the way that we play and the players that we get into them areas are not the standard typical. This is why I don't get too upset with Brendan Aronson not contributing G&A, because today's 2 goal scorers were Firpo and Bogle, and the assist came from James and Solomon. It's exactly what I said on Wednesday. That is our recipe, isn't it? So huffed and puffed, mate, but I didn't think it were a bad performance. You still play James.
But I know what you mean. That my thing with that is that not. If James is having that type of day where it's not a bad performance by any means, but would we have lost too much if maybe you give Ramazani half an hour instead of James there? Would we have really? Would that have hurt us? Would that have been an opportunity to give Ramazani more minutes there? Would be my only thing. If it's not quite clicking for James today, maybe that's your opportunity to give him some time.
I don't know. I don't know. Again, similar to when we were 1-0 up midweek against Millwall, at 2-2, the momentum should be with that team. Bear in mind, James had got the assist as well. So I'm not sure. I'm really not sure, because I've not seen enough from Ramazani recently, since he came back. And I'm talking 3 months now. It's something like that, isn't it?
I think,
I've not seen anything from him, mate, that says you deserve to be playing. Bear in mind, he's not even been getting on the pitch at times, which tells me that not only is his match day contribution poor, but his training contribution is poor as well. So I'm not in a massive clamour for it. I'm really not.
And it's kind of a strange one as well, because he's our most expensive signing, wasn't he? This summer. It's that pressure almost to kind of play your most expensive.
The money means nothing, does it? It just doesn't mean anything.
No.
Knacker's arguably our best signing, and he was the cheapest. So it's ultimately it's what fits the system, what fits the tactic, what does what for Daniel Farke and his system. But Brendan Aronson's a great example of that. Brendan doesn't play every week because he's technically the most gifted player and the most creative number 10. He plays because he does a role within that 11 for Daniel Farke. So, same for Gruev away from home, as an example. It's another great example of that. So, I think Dan James is a big part of that as well. I don't think any of the other wingers can do what Dan James does. Overall, the defensive, the running, the everything that he's given us this season. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's slowed down a little bit in terms of the purple patch he was having, but he still gets another assist today. Like what do you want? Oh, lad, we're flogging him, you know what
I mean? Peru today, it's kind of, I almost can't be kind of blame him in a way because it's kind of what he is, but one of them, I thought he was a bit sloppy in some of his build-up play, actually, a little bit today, Perot's. A few times when he was giving the ball away and passing it short and that kind of thing. And, when he's going for duels in the air and that physicality, I thought it was so lacking. And I can't be mad at him, really, because it's like, well, that's not who he is. But it's kind of, I'm looking at it going, oh, come on. You're as big as Matt Viduka. Fucking play like it. Get your body in or just... he just so has no physical presence for such a massive dude. I'm
no, don't.
And I found that kind of aspect of him frustrating. But that is Joe Peru for days like that. You're playing against a team who are a big set of lumps. It's not really his kind of thing, but
it didn't feel like his game.
Feel like it was his best day today.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was his game today. Like nothing that he seemed to kind of do came off. I did think he had a couple of nice moments, but then you're right, he did drop a couple short as well. There were funnily enough, before they scored, Brendan nearly put him through really early on. It was after about 7 or 8 minutes. Brendan nearly put him through, and again, he's there for them moments because if Joel takes that in, he probably scores. I mean, his finish midweek was brilliant. He should be on 16 goals going into this one. He shouldn't. It shouldn't be a case that he's not scored for the last 3. Really, he should have had 2 or 3 against bloody Portsmouth, and he'd have scored the penalty as well, wouldn't he? So it's one of them. Sometimes the game felt a little bit like that. It felt if we were going to get joys, it were going to be out wide.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a quick look through some comments then. Thank you for everyone getting involved. Keep them coming. Lee, fair point. Gavin, win home games, draw away from now on. Skip, we put in plenty of good crosses in the box, but couldn't capitalise. Defensively, we was all over the place. A bit on the refereeing, Jason, because to be honest, first half, nothing really stood out to me first half, but I felt like as soon as we equalised, the ref went, right, that's it. I'm gonna slow this down a little bit now, and they got absolutely everything from the moment we equalised. It felt like every decision was going to go QPR's way, regardless. At the end, 6 minutes added on, and you had a red card, and you had about 15 set pieces during that 6 minutes.
And the subs.
He blows 96 minutes and 20 seconds. He blows, and I'm just like, what is going on? It's just, we say it, how many times have we said it this season? But it's infuriating because obviously, we're a team, we like to score some late goals, but it never felt like we had chance to build anything up in that injury time. It was over before you could even get the ball on the ground and pass it.
Yeah, mate, I get sick of talking about them. I get sick of stressing about them. I get sick of getting irritated about them because they are just woeful. The last 3 games, the referees have just been abysmal. And it's not just when we don't win. I said exactly the same. The referee was arguably worse against Millwall than the one against Portsmouth.
Yeah.
The refereeing against Millwall was honestly staggering. And the decision that was missed against Portsmouth, again, no doubt, PGMOL, bloody apology.
We're sorry.
Yeah. And then again today, it's just inconsistency. And it's not just throughout the game, it's within the same exchanges. Like you're talking, 20 seconds, one decision is not given, and then 20 seconds later, the same exact version of it is given. Yeah. It's bizarre. He lost complete control. Thankfully, he gave the red card because I didn't think he was going to. At first, I thought it was the yellow card. Then when I saw him bring out the red, I was like, hey, what's going on there? And then when you watch it back, it was actually really nasty. It was really, really nasty. So thankfully, he got that right. But it was literally one of only a few decisions that he got right all game. Literally, he just had a stinker. The amount of wrestling that was going on. And he probably should have sent the big lad off for them as well. Getting in his face. Like, what the hell was that all about? So, mate, it's just something that you have to play with, innit?
Absolutely.
It is.
Oh, no, absolutely. So the other results then, obviously Burnley playing against Swansea, they're currently 2 up after half an hour there.
That's an expected win, isn't it? Like,
yeah. So they'll probably go to within a couple of points. Tough ask for Sheffield United tomorrow, though. Sheffield Wednesday away. So hopefully Sheffield Wednesday should be bang up for that. And yeah, I mean, it's the international break then. Jason, couple of weeks till the next game. We've got Swansea ourselves at home, Saturday 29th of March. How are you feeling then going into the international break about kind of where we're at and your confidence for what we'll see at the other side?
Look, I mean, we've got a job to do, but looking at the games that we've got to play, Browney, we really, really should be absolutely fine. We should. Yeah. You know, Burnley and Sheffield United have both still got really tricky games to come across. You know, and if they win all 8 or 9 or whatever games they've got left, then fair play, they deserve to go up. And I mean, we have to then match that, and will we? Probably not. We're capable of doing that, but we probably won't. So, you know, but you look at them home games, Swansea at home, Stoke at home, Bristol City at home, I think, as well. Middlesbrough is away. Preston at home. I'm pretty sure Preston's at home.
Yeah, Preston at home, yeah.
I know Skip's put the list there. I think he's got some of the home and aways wrong, or he's putting them the wrong way around. Maybe H is before. Yeah, that'd make more sense. Anyway, we've got really winnable games at home. So even if we just win them 4, that's another 12 points. That puts us on 92, mate. Yeah. 92.
Yeah.
Shit. Like, if we're not going up with 92, then I don't know what to even say yet. And the likelihood is that we will probably win at least one of the 5 away games that we've got, or 4 away games that we've got. I'm losing track now. I think we'll be fine. I honestly think we'll be fine. I think a lot of people are panicking and flapping and, you know, really, they're getting carried away with the emotion that's attached to what's going on. Like, don't get me wrong, the players will be feeling a bit of pressure, but they've shown that they're capable of dealing with that. We dealt with Millwall. We came back from 2-0 down again today. You know, if ever we were going to lose one of the games between now and the end of the season, this was probably it. Yeah? Like, I'm probably more confident going to Middlesbrough away than this. Yeah. Just because of just the everything that kind of comes with it. So, yeah, I'm feeling all right, mate. I'm again, not going to start sweating when we've just come back from 2-0 down to draw 2-2, take another point, take us on to 80 points. 4 wins out of the next 8 puts us on 92 points.
Yeah.
You're not getting me stressing about
that. This kind of ties into that as well, Gavin. The worry is we're wobbling at exactly the same time as last year, 11 games to go, because we won 3, I think, in the last 11 last season. Yeah, I mean, it's one of them things, isn't it? I mean, yes, you know, last 4 games we've dropped points in 3 of them. You know, but I don't know. It's you don't win every game, are you?
Yeah, but Brian, what I'm going to find back to that is right. Is that like it's the pressure time of the season. You're going to see strange results. Teams like QPR have got nothing to play for, which can work in one or 2 ways. Takes the pressure off. They've got no stress. The teams that are down towards the bottom of the season are all fighting for their lives and trying to stay up and get enough points on the board. Like, strange results are going to happen, but they don't just happen to us. Yeah. They happen to everybody. You know, Leicester had a massive wobble last season. Ipswich dropped points. You know, Ipswich were probably the juggernaut that kept going. But, like, you know, it wasn't just us. Even though we took 3 wins out of the last 11, we still took it to the last game of the season. Even though we had that run, Browney. So that means that the other teams around us were dropping points as well. You know what I mean? So you just have to make sure that you're dropping less than everyone else. And look at the games that we've got. You know, straight away, Burnley and Sheffield United have got each other to play. They've both got Coventry to play. They've both got to go to Loftus Road. You know, like, there's plenty of twists and turns to go. We will be fine. I promise you, we'll be fine.
I've got a horrible question for you, though, despite you saying that. If we don't make it into the automatics, what do you think will cost us? What is it that's going to have cost us if we don't get into that automatic? You might not want to answer it. You might not want to answer it now. You might want to just wait. But if there's something you're looking at this team now and going, oh, yeah, that is the area where I go, that might be a problem.
Leadership is one of them. You know, dealing with that stress and pressure takes players like Ethan Ampadu to out on the pitch, not just in the dressing room, to really carry your team through. I mean, Pascal and Ilan will both, could well cost us. I look at them too in terms of the weak links. I know I've just seen Skip's comment and it got mentioned further. I don't believe that. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't, because, we've got Ampadu out who's out injured. The rest of the team is fit and available, really. And Verber, I suppose you could say, but we haven't had him all season. The problem with Verber and Ampadu is having them together, but not many people were asking for a centre-back. So don't now start revising stuff. People are asking for 10s and 9s. They're asking for 10s and 9s. Now, don't get me wrong, I can sit here and I can listen to you all day about the number 10 position, but now you're saying that Willie Gnonto can do that job. So which is it? Right? I'm right though, aren't I? And I look at all of the players that were signed by our competition. That's the standard of championship signings. I wouldn't have one of them. I wouldn't have one of them to replace anybody within this squad. Ben Berrett Diaz may be off the bench. Adam Armstrong may be off the bench. But neither of them are going to come and sit on our bench when they were promised starting positions at West Brom and Sheffield United. Don't kid yourself otherwise, because that's the reality. That is the reality. So I don't look at the championship available players and think we missed out on one, really, because they weren't available to us. The players that improved our team are Premier League players, and we tried to get one in Cameron Archer. I'm sure there were other options that got maybe multiplied about. Emi Buendia earlier on in the window ended up signing for bloody Bundesliga champions, for God's sake. That is the market that you need to fish in to improve this team, because our team is better than Burnley's and Sheffield United's. It is. And I know the points don't necessarily show that too much. That's a little bit on the players dealing with the pressure. It's a little bit on Daniel Farke dealing with the pressure. I am a Daniel Farke fan. I think everything that he's achieved this season is really commendable. I don't think managing Leeds United is very, very easy. I think this squad at Sheffield United or Burnley is probably already up, because I do think that the pressure, the crowd, the way that, the commentary team made it a reference to it 3 or 4 times today about playing against Leeds United and how everybody steps up the levels. It's the reality. So, all that tax then brings us down to it being competitive. If we miss out, that will fall at the feet of Daniel Farke, 100%. Yeah. As much as I'm in support of him, and if we did lose in the playoffs, he would have to go. Now, we're talking way, that's a long way. Yeah, I think that's really unfair to even be having that conversation, if I'm honest, because I think he's done great to this point. We've dropped points in 15 games now this season. It's nothing. It's insane. So yeah, that's all I can say on it, mate. But to answer your question, Meslier, who I do think has been better, Pascal and leadership. They're the 3 answers that I would say that would cost us. Not genuine.
What about international break? Obviously, that's what's happening now. We've got Tanaka going away. When Leeds put the tweet out about Tanaka going, you're like, oh. But Brendan Aronson not going with the United States, which I think is that could be massive, I think, for the type of football he plays, busy, as Gavin said. But I think that could be massive. Welsh boys away. Always a nervous time with injuries. And is it going to be something you're going to be keeping an eye on during the injury break? Are you going to be having a look going, you see it, Rodon stretchered off after 30 minutes for Wales in a meaningless friendly. Oh, no. It's one of them, isn't it? It's kind of, you just have to kind of buckle up, don't you? And just hopefully everyone comes through it. I think Ethan, though, Ampadu's getting close to actually making a return, isn't he? Actually, I didn't think we'd see him, but apparently he's getting close to coming back. So, which would be a massive boost.
I'll be honest with you, I think it comes at a good time for us. I think it comes at a really good time for us.
Yeah.
The players are able to kind of let their hair down a little bit, step out of the pressure cooker. I'm sure that they enjoy going away on international duty, see the mates, friendlies. I'm sure probably have a bit more of a relaxed vibe to them. I'm sure if there's any doubt with regards to injuries or whatever, they won't be played, they won't be raced, the clubs will be in conversation. It's a little bit of a disadvantage for us over the competition because we have so many more internationals. But I think overall, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it'll be an opportunity to refresh, reset, take the pressure cooker out a little bit. We go into the international break in the top 2, regardless of what happens today and tomorrow. Sheffield United might leapfrog us if they beat Sheffield Wednesday, but I don't really care. Is that right?
No, I think we'll be on the same points.
Are we 3 points in front of Sheffield
3
United?
points ahead of them, yeah.
So we'd be in front on goal difference. So we come to the other side of the international break, still top then, which I think is good news, obviously. So yeah, I don't think it comes at a bad time. I don't think it comes at a bad time at all. It gives us opportunity to get Ethan back, who won't be going away on international duty. So yeah, I think it's a good time. I think it's a good time for us.
Good stuff. Right, I think we'll leave it there then.
Just before we do go,
yeah.
I'd be interested to get your point on this as well. And that game's miles away, yeah. But I'm really interested to know why Gavin we'd need Burnley to beat Sheffield United. I don't get that. I don't understand why that would be the recipe for a great result for Leeds United. I mean, the perfect result there is a draw, surely. And I mean, we don't know how the land's going to lie then, right?
No, we don't.
No.
Ultimately, all we care about is a gap to third, don't we?
That's my point. Surely, right now, because Burnley are third, that'd be the best result. Because we're bearing in mind Sheffield United have got to play tomorrow. So if Sheffield United lose tomorrow, let's just say, then fine, they would probably be the team that you would maybe want to win because we want that gap to third. But it didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, it's all about that gap to third, and whoever is kind of in second place at that time.
Gavin's like the epitome of pessimism, man. Like he just is like, why? They literally have barely been at the top. I don't even know if they've been top all season.
I don't think they have they? No.
They've got probably the hardest run of fixtures. I just don't. Again,
we'd have had their. It's
result. Not facts, is it? It's not. It's not facts. That's just overprotective Leeds fan vibe that's probably it's just there to make you feel better, and then you can go, oh, thank God I were wrong when you were wrong and Leeds win the league. Like based on what we've seen, Leeds are the best team in the division. What I will say is, and I think Burnley, maybe this is where Gavin's going with it, Burnley are hitting form at the right time. They're definitely hitting some form at the right time, whereas we're having I wouldn't call this a wobble. I just think we've had some tricky games. Yeah, so and they do concede because they conceded the other day and drew 1-1 against West Brom. So they do concede. And they conceded 3 against bloody Preston in the cup. Like they do concede with the full first team out, by the way. So like they do concede goals. I'm not like blown away by anybody. I think when we were at its best, we're the best team in the division. I just think we've had a sticky couple of games, but I don't think it's anything to be alarmed about. Bear in mind, right, I know I'm waffling now, but your comparison to what just happened today was QPR 4, Leeds United 0.
Yeah.
And we didn't do that. We went 2-0 down and we showed the grit and metal to come back and take a massive point. So I have a bit of confidence in you boys, guys, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Well, thank you, everyone who got involved in the live video. Please make sure you're liking the video as well and subscribing to the channel for more content. And if you're watching this again later, please do smash a like on it and let us know what you have thought of what Jason and I have discussed. We will be back at some point over the next couple of weeks, certainly for the future Leeds reviews as well. But until then, thank you so much for watching. I've been Stephen Brown. Alongside me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we will see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.